a quick video on Tesla's latest decision to remove ultrasonic sensors from their cars going forward. A big move by Tesla. Let's kind of pose a question to James here. Why do you think Tesla made this move to remove ultrasonics? Do you think there's going to be kind of this initial degrading of like ability for the cars to actually see the distances like very close? Do you think vision that Tesla has, the Tesla vision will not just compensate? Do you think it'll do even a better job than these ultrasonics over time? Like, what's your kind of take on Tesla's move
I
here?
sort of expect it to go the same way the radar did, right? That they took the radar out. Some cars lost some functionality for a while. It took longer than they said it would to get the functionality back. And then for a while, you had the functionality, and it was better in some ways and worse in other ways. And over some time, it became superior in every way, and then dramatically superior. And I would sort of expect to see the ultrasonic sensors being replaced in a similar kind of fashion. All the things that ultrasonic sensors do for people, with a few exceptions. People who don't have ultrasonic sensors, they do with their eyes, and it mostly works, pretty well. So the fact, if people can do it with their eyes, the car will be able to do it. In principle, it can do it. Now, how quickly does the software get to that level of functionality? What are the, bumps along the way? There will be some bumps, just like there was with radar. And it might be a while before every single kink is worked out. But the ultrasonic sensors have a lot of shortcomings. And it's not just the fact that they cost money. You have to put them in there. Sometimes they break. They they're really bad at certain types of materials, and they're really bad at dealing with certain shapes of objects. And cameras just not gonna. I guess in a sense you're gonna have a somewhat different set of limitations. Like you could imagine that a really white pole against a really white background might be harder for a camera to see than an ultrasonic sensor. There are going to be these sort of corner case situations where cameras might have a handicap. And it'll take them a little while to overcome those kinds of things. But like the pole is a pretty good example. Like the ultrasonic sensors have never been super good at dealing with poles. So it was really easy to back into a pole on your car because you look at the ultrasonic sensor, it says there's nothing there, right? They're narrow, they don't have a big cross section, and they're convex. So the return signal can be really weak from a pole, especially if it's got if it has some padding wrapped around it or something. Yeah. Your ultrasonic signal might be really weak coming back from that. And cameras, they won't have problems with those kinds of things.
Okay, how about the scenario where I'm inching forward to something, and let's say it's a high parking curve or something that if I hit it, it's going to scrape my front bumper. Okay, and let's say I'm a daring person. I love to always get up to 2 inches, like next to the curve, or something. Am I going to be able to do that with just
I would say the cameras will be better at doing that. So one that I have is say you're pulling up to a curb, and you don't know if it'll fit underneath your, the spoiler on your car. Yeah. Like, is my spoiler going to nail that, or am I going to be able to roll forward, so it goes over that. Ultrasonics, they've been super terrible. Like they can tell if there's a curb there, but they can't tell if it's a 2-inch curb or a 10-inch curb because it produces basically a very similar return signal. It just tells you there's this thing and it's so far. So, they're poorly positioned to help you in that situation anyway. Like once the sensor passes over the top of it, you can't see it, right? So it's not telling you what's underneath. But the IMU unit in the car and so they have accelerometers and whatnot, but they also have a wheel turn sensor. And that thing's accurate to like probably a millimeter in terms of the exact position of the car. So with whatever accuracy the cameras on the front of the car can locate an object as you move forward to it, like if it can tell that curb is 6 feet, 10 inches ahead of your car when it's close, and it should be able to do about like that. For things that are close and low to the nose of the car, the front camera can probably localize it to like an inch now already, that kind of scale, right? So then you count the wheel turns, and you know exactly when you're a half inch from it or whatnot. So there are many opportunities for the cameras to not just do better than ultrasonics do, but solve problem like parking related problems or parking in a tight space problems that the ultrasonics really can't touch right now.
Yeah. It's interesting because it'll save Tesla a lot with manufacturing. They don't have to make the holes in the bumpers. They have to put in the ultrasonics, all the wiring, all the extra stuff is just gone. It's like it's just with one quick decision. It reminds me of kind of the role that Elon has to play, kind of pushing the stuff forward. I think most CEOs would be like, "Oh no, err on the side of caution, like keep it all in." And because the functionality isn't 100% proved out, like it's going to take some time to transition. But Elon's like, "Oh, it's done in his mind." It's like in terms of the trajectory where it's headed, and it's the ability for the cameras to do pretty much everything. What
Recently, I've been
ultrasonics
seeing
have to
that
do.
tendency of his in a slightly different light, which is, a lot of companies, their general approach is don't say something that might be wrong because we'll look bad if we get it wrong. But there's another thing you can do, which is if I have an ambitious goal and I go public and I say I'm going to say it, we're really motivated to hit it, right? Like we've put ourselves on the line for that. Not just us, like everybody on the team, they know what the deadline is. This is what we said we're going to do. And they miss those deadlines a lot. They do. Like with the radar one, they missed, right? When they put the radar out, they said it is going to take a certain amount of time to get the functionality back in there. They blew that deadline. They did get there. Like you could imagine another company not only not being willing to set a deadline and not getting there quickly, but like not getting there at all, right? Because events overtake you. You don't have to do it. So, when you stick your neck out, all of a sudden there's more motivation to get this thing done. So, maybe the ultrasonics will take longer. Just, FSD is taking longer than we thought than we thought it was. They really stuck their neck out on that, and they've been wrong about a bunch of things. That said, they're making great progress compared to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, with FSD, it seems like they're wrong on the timeline because they underestimated the complexity of the problem, but that enabled them to build out all of this foundational like tech, their whole AI stack, which was much more ambitious than maybe they initially had expected to build out. But it's opened up new areas like this Optimus robot and other things for the future. So yeah, to me, I actually look at this whole FSD timeline issue as actually very fortunate for Tesla that Elon was just committed to it, and it was such a hard problem. It forced Tesla to build out a more ambitious AI team and infrastructure than they originally planned. And it's led to, I think, will be their biggest market with Optimus eventually. Interesting stuff. All right, James, thank you. We'll chat again tomorrow. And it's fun chatting.
Likewise.
Cool. Awesome.